What's up, everyone? This is Bacon, and today we are doing an Etheria restart video. I'm going to go over a few kind of tips and tricks for those of you who are just starting out in this game. Came out, the global launch just a few days ago, and I've been playing this nonstop. I've been having a ton of fun with it, and so there's been a few things that I could see as kind of like noob traps or like kind of baits of things that could potentially set your account back pretty far, and so I wanted to address some of those things and give a few tips and tricks on things that could make your progression go a little faster. So the first thing we're going to jump into, and this is what everyone's asking about, this is the summons. So we're going to go ahead and look at the summons. Now, if you look at the summons page, you will see this. Let me move over here a little bit. There you go. You can see here that there is the luminal, or the summon right here for Freya. And then you have, what is his name? Messiah. And then you have a choice or a target summon. This is where you can pretty much choose most non-light or dark characters in the game. I don't know their actual like offending names, but basically you can pick from any of these people. And then once you summon 40 times, you get that summon. And then you have your kind of generic permanent summons. And then this is a summons that is just for the constant or disorder traits, or the light or dark is kind of just an easier way to kind of think of that. Now, when you first get in, if you look up a tier list or anything like that, you'll notice that Messiah is right up there. He is a S tier hero. He's a great hero in the game, but it takes a guaranteed 80 summons to get him. And one thing is these kind of silver discs that you use to summon, you get very few of them. I have 6, and this is from about 2 days of playing the game. That's all I got. And then you can use your gems, which is 300 per pull. So you need 3,000 to do 10 pulls. And so that's like 24,000 gems just to get to the 80 mark, which is obviously, unless you get him earlier. But if you do get that kind of automatic pull at 80, you're going to use 24,000 summons, which with the generic normal summon pull, that's 240 pulls. No. Yeah, that's 240 pulls versus a third of that, 8,000 pull or 8,080 pulls. We get my math all mixed up. So that's something you want to consider. Is it might be tempting to pull for him since he's really good, but you can get a lot of really good heroes or heroes that are just as good just from pulling from the normal pulls and using these purple discs, which you get just from playing the game. And you get a lot more of these, and then you can also use your gems if you want 1,000 for 10 pulls. So it's a lot better value in my opinion. I don't think it's quite worth the pull for Freya yet. Now, if the event is coming to an end and you have some extra pulls and you want to pull for her, that's great. But generally, if you just pull from here, you have a chance of getting her. And so it's probably worth just pulling from here until it gets closer to this event ending, and then maybe you can pull for her. I would say for him, unless you're a heavy spender, just probably not worth pulling for him. You might get him from normal summons, but it's just a lot of resources that you're going to just be dumping in the beginning of the game and just not really worth it. And then for targeted summons, I would say just kind of wait and see if there's someone that you really want that you don't get from your normal pulls. And then if you want to pull for them, go for it. But I would hate for people to start pulling from here, or pull from the target summon first, get the person they want, and then get another copy of them here and have doubles, which you can use it to buff your characters when you get copies of them, but it's not quite as valuable as in other gacha games. And so that is the first thing I want to mention. Now, going into another area, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so the next thing is your modules. These are the things that you use. They're basically your equipment. You will get these from doing different game modes, from progressing campaign. And something that you want to avoid is investing heavily into these early on, because you're just going to progressively get better and better armor and just equipment as you play the game. And so if you spend a lot of resources leveling these up, you're going to end up recycling these or trashing them a day later in the early game. One thing to also keep in mind, if we go ahead and look at challenges, so you can get your modules from here. This is where you can get your modules depending on your progression. Basically, as you progress, the rarity of the items get better. And you can see here, this is like top tier end game stuff, Inferno. Now, I'm only in hard 1, and so it doesn't really make sense for me to just do this specific thing on repeat, because I'm going to get a bunch of armor that is just kind of sitting there and useless, and I'm going to recycle eventually. Now, if you do want to get a slight boost, obviously you can do a few rounds of this, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I would not just spend all your energy doing this. Same with here. You can get different types of armor and stuff here. And it's the exact same with Inferno. You get the highest level of armor. Definitely isn't worth kind of recycling with the armor stuff. Areas that I think is probably worth recycling for or kind of doing over and over again are these two here. This one, the investigation, this is where you can get hero XP. So when you do different missions and stuff, your heroes naturally get XP, but it's very small. You're not going to level them up pretty fast just by doing these. So this is where you can get actual books that you can use for XP, and this will help you basically progress your characters. So for example, let's go ahead and take a look, see if I have any. Okay. You can see here I have some of these books here that you get from doing those missions. I can add them all, and I can upgrade my hero from 26 to 29. Just from doing missions, this is going to take so long. And so it's good just to kind of stock up on these things when you do have a character you want to level up quickly, or you want to try different builds and stuff. You definitely want to have a good arsenal of these. It's not a bad thing to have those, but I would say it is a bad thing to have like a bajillion garbage gear. It's just not as valuable. Now, the next thing I also wanted to mention when it comes to those is the GP outpost. Basically, there is a different outpost for every trait or type. The fire one, you basically just keep clearing until you can't clear anymore. And then you get these resources that you will use to level up your skills of your character. So if we go ahead and take a look here, this is kind of my skill tree thing. And as I do those missions, I get these items, these materials, and then I can level up my skills, which gives me basically stab boost until I get to here, and then getting to where I need to upgrade at another level using lattice to do that. Now, this leads me to my next point, is these gold lattice pieces are very rare. They're not pieces that you're going to get a lot of during the game. So I would definitely think about it before you use it. Think about, one, the skill that you're upgrading, because certain skills have different priorities. Some will be a lot more value versus others. For example, I'm not saying you should do this, but I already upgraded this one to level 2. And the only reason I did that is because there's the kind of missions for, what is her name? For Lion. And you need to upgrade a skill twice. And so I already did that. And then I'm going to do it one more time here once I get another one. But, leading to my next point, there is a way to reset heroes for the first 7 days of playing. Where's this at? Here it is. So in the first 7 days, you can reconfigure an Animus. So I'm going to basically do all the missions for Leanne, and then I'm going to reset her. Not that she's not a great character. She's actually really solid, but I think I will want those lettuces on different characters. And so I'm going to just do all the missions for her, and then I'm going to reset her using these gems. You just put them in, reset, it'll give me all the materials back. She'll kind of be reset back to level 1, and then I can use those resources on other characters if I want. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you can see the charters, the hyperlink charters here. This is basically all for her, for Leon. So you can see I'm kind of stuck here in basic training 2, which is deploy Leon to defeat hard 3, Tarot Matin 1 time. And so I have to do that to get to 3, and then 4, or no, then to expert training, then so on and so forth. And so I'm going to do these. Hopefully I can get these done within 5 days, because that's all I have left. And then I'm going to reset her and then take the materials for myself. This leads me to my next thing, is make sure you're doing your Hyperleague charter. There's a lot of missions on here that give some pretty good resources, and so it's important that you're kind of being intentional with these. You'll complete a lot of these on their own, but there are some things that you just won't even think about that you'll never get past if you don't do it. For example, fully equip 2 Animuses with level 6 modules. Let's see. I'm just going to upgrade these to level 6. Boink, boink. I know I have better gear, but it just doesn't really matter right now. I have so much silver or coins or whatever, and this doesn't cost that much. So, but I would not advise doing this with every hero, with every piece, just because you will eventually run out if you do that. So I did that. Now I should have 2. But look, I finished this, completed. Now I can move on. I can claim these rewards too, which are really nice. And then I can go on to the next one. Boom, got all these already. And then I can do these. Follow one player, sure. Okay, I'll follow these people. Nice and easy, did that one. And then I can make sure I'm being intentional with doing these missions as well. So make sure you're following these. There's also one for your shell tuning, one for arena trials that's locked, and then module modification. You can see here, there's just some more stuff to pay attention to. So make sure you're not overlooking that. And then the next thing I want to mention as far as tips and tricks is using your stability. Your stability, you will gain 1 point every 5 minutes. And so naturally you're gonna just recover it, and that's great. When you level up, you also get more. And then as you just kind of complete different quests and achievements, you also get some stability. But if you do run out and you wanna use more, I'd recommend not using these. I'd save these for different events where you are really wanting to farm. Like if there's a double drop event, or if there's something else where there's something else going on where you just want to really farm really hard. The reason is because you can only exchange gems for stability 10 times a day, which that might not seem like, that seems like a plenty, but if you're really wanting to farm and you use 1,000 gems farming, that could probably be like 30 minutes of playing if your account is really high and you're really cruising through stuff, then you can't get any more after that. And if you already use these, you're kind of stuck there, having to either pay real money for more of these or wait till the next day. And so that's why I would, if you do want to recharge your stamina, make sure you just use your gems. It's only 100 and you can use 10 a day. So pretty solid rates. I don't think it's too expensive, especially since we're getting a lot of gems right now. Now, as far as using your gems for summons, I have mixed opinions on this because I have used gems on summons. It's just kind of how I roll. I want to use them, but it's also important to have kind of a build up for other things in case you need them. So right now, sure, I'll use 500 to kind of do another pull, but I don't think you should just constantly always be using your gems for summons, just because it's not really something you want to run out of. You want to have them kind of like backed up and ready and available to go in case there's something you need to spend them on. So a next tip that I want to mention is, where is it? Your shells. Make sure you are equipping your shells. You can see here, I do not have a shell equipped because I removed it to put it on Lane for a different quest. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on her. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a different one on. Sure, let's mount you. Now keep in mind, every shell has different kind of skills or abilities. So this one is before the owner takes action, increases their attack by 400 for 1 turn. Cool, that makes total sense. This one is a healing boost, and so there are some that have skills that are just completely irrelevant to certain characters. So I don't think Rosa has any healing in her kit, but if I were to equip the healing boost one, it just doesn't make sense because she doesn't do any healing. So why would I have a healing boost on her? So just make sure you're kind of looking at the skills, make sure what they're doing. And that's the same with the modules. I am not optimized right now for my modules. I've just been kind of going slow. Haven't really thought too much about them, but make sure that you are kind of keeping track of like different bonuses that they give. So this is a crit rate one, really important for damage. Defense bonus, whatever. Attack, HP, defense. Attack bonus is nice, but I would say, you know, crit rate and crit damage are going to be the big ones for your damage dealers. For your healers or your buffers, speed, doing ones that give you speed is going to be really important. So right now, she really doesn't have any good ones on her. I just threw these on her. But you kind of understand, like, if you're healing a lot or you're giving buffs a lot, you want to be doing it more frequently. And so if you can have ones that give you good speed buffs, that's what you want to aim for. I'll probably do another video once we kind of have a better idea of modules and kind of the higher end ones. But right now, I don't think it's worth jumping into that too much. Just don't invest too much in it, is my piece of advice. Now, the last thing I want to mention are unions. I just made this union not too long ago. So if you want to join, here is my union. It is Baconators. I don't know if there's like another way to kind of show it so you can join, but feel free to join. I'm the only one in it because I just made it not too long ago, but I'm happy to have others join it. Anyone is welcome and free to join my union because there's a lot of space and we need more people. But with unions, making sure you are checking in every day. You get rewards by checking in. Also, make sure you are trying to finish your weekly quests because you get a lot of resources from that. And then make sure you are doing the kind of clan or union boss battle every day because you get more rewards the farther you go, the more you clear. And so it's important that you're doing this, participating and getting those rewards. Now, if we look at the union shop, you can see that there's some good stuff. As you kind of level up your union, you get more items that are more valuable. And then, you know, this one right here, that's a really rare item. You want that. It helps you ascend your heroes to 6 stars, which I am nowhere near doing that, but it's really important to do that, to get those. And talking about that, I'm going to talk about the shop a little bit too. Make sure you're prioritizing things that are important for your kind of goals. I would say some things on here that are really important to get are the lattice and the shadow print, the red one specifically, because there's a lot of value in that. You can see I got the orange shadow print already because I wanted to level my character to a 5-star. I would say once you get those, probably getting these two, the Anima prototype and the Apex prototype for summons is important. Arena, same thing, aiming for those lattices, trying to get the shadow prints when they're available. And then here, I don't even know how you get these tickets, so we're going to ignore that for now. And then for those of you who are spenders or maybe light spenders like me, I've already bought the... where is it? I bought these with my gyms. I didn't have to spend any money, but they're really good value. You get basically 10 pulls for 800 and 5 pulls for 1200. That's a good value. That's better than just pulling them straight from the summons. And then there were like dollar packs that I bought for reaching certain levels. I already bought those, so $1 is $1, and you get like a free hero and some other resources for spending for the first time. So I just bought it with $1. So make sure you're checking the shops. There's free things too that you want to get. Those do refresh every so often, so you want to make sure you get those before they refresh. And then that is it, though. That is kind of my last bit of advice so far with playing this game. I think it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. Once I've played it for about a week or so, I'm probably going to have like an overall review of the game and my thoughts on it. But for those of you who haven't played it yet, it is kind of like a mix of like Epic 7 and Honkai Star Rail. Kind of like a mixture of that is what I would say it's like a more anime-y Epic 7. But pretty fun game. It's on mobile and PC, so make sure you download it if you want to play it. But this is my my list of tips and tricks for whatever Etherean, whatever this game's. I can't remember what the heck is this game called again. Having a blank. What is this? Etherean Restart. That's what it is. All these like anime games are just like generic, like 2 different random words they put together. But that's my my tips and tricks for Ethereum Restart. If you guys like this video, make sure you like and subscribe below. If you have any other tips you think are valuable, put them in the comments. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. And as always, have a great rest of your day. Peace.